Psychotherapy, Purpose, Process and Practice. Introduction, Part 1 of 15. This is the beginning of a 15-part series on psychotherapy, purpose, process and practice, a pamphlet that extends the principles of A Course in Miracles. Each day we will take one section of the pamphlet, read it, and then unfold its meaning through commentary, story, and metaphor. The goal is not memorization. The goal is recognition. Recognition that healing is not about bodies or symptoms, but about the mind. Why are we delving deep into this? Because everything is mind. Not the brain in the skull, not the flesh and the bones. That is still part of the body's illusion. Everything is mind because you are a thought in the mind of God. And thought does not break apart into fragments. Thought is whole. So to speak of healing is to speak only of the mind. This is why the introduction opens the door to everything that follows. Psychotherapy, at its core, means the healing of the mind. The word itself tells the story. Psyche meaning soul or mind. Therapeia meaning healing or service. So psychotherapy is not about fixing what seems broken in the body or patching up what is wrong in the world. It is about attending to the only place where anything ever goes wrong, the mind. The Course says only the mind can be sick. That can sound outrageous at first. We look at the body, we see disease, pain, decline, and death. We see wars, poverty, disasters. And the ego shouts, "Look at this, how can you deny it's real?" But all those images, as solid as they appear, are nothing more than projections of a thought system. They are effects, not causes. The body can no more be sick on its own than a movie screen can be stained by the film running through the projector. If the film is scratched, you see lines on the screen, but the screen itself remains untouched. Healing is never about polishing the screen. It is about correcting the projector. That projector is the mind. And that is why the mind is the only patient. The body is not in need of healing. The mind is where the sickness of separation, guilt, and fear first took root. Heal the cause and the effects fade away. Treat only the effects and the cause remains untouched. Now the Course acknowledges this does not look that way. The manifestations of the world feel real indeed. Hunger, sickness, depression, loneliness, conflict, these seem to demand treatment on their own terms. But here is the radical shift. True psychotherapy begins when the mind dares to question reality itself. To say, maybe what I've been calling real is not real at all. Maybe the things I fear and worship, the things I fight and chase, are illusions I have mistaken for truth. That questioning is the crack where light first enters. And notice where the shift begins, in relationships. Healing always involves a change in how one sees another. A moment when someone once seen as an enemy is glimpsed as a brother. Or when someone who seemed like a body is seen instead as spirit. Sometimes this change comes spontaneously, a spark of grace in a relationship. Sometimes it comes in a more structured way, in the form of a therapeutic relationship. The form does not matter. The purpose is always the same. To use the mirror of relationship to shift perception. That is why the Course even speaks of an official therapist. It is not that the therapist is special, but the relationship can provide a container where the mind feels safe enough to open. Whether the healer is called therapist, friend, teacher, or stranger, the Holy Spirit is the only real therapist. He works through whatever form will help the mind loosen its grip on illusions. So, what is the task of psychotherapy? It never changes. The patient must be helped to change his mind about the reality of illusions. That is the task. Not to polish illusions, not to rearrange them, not to negotiate with them, but to see them as they are, unreal. When the mind accepts this, healing happens automatically, because the mind no longer invests belief in what can never be true. Imagine a man lost in a desert. His throat is dry, his lips cracked, and everywhere he looks he sees shimmering pools of water. He runs to them desperately, but every time he gets close, the water vanishes. It was only a mirage. For years he has chased these illusions, blaming the desert for his suffering. Finally, he meets a guide. The guide does not hand him another mirage. The guide does not promise to make the desert more comfortable. Instead, the guide points to the truth. The water you seek has never been out here. It has always been in the flask at your side, the one you forgot you carried. The patient thought the desert was the problem, but the only problem was his perception. That is psychotherapy. It does not quench thirst with illusions. It teaches the mind to stop chasing mirages and remember the living water it has carried all along.